Right, let's bring in Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Abdullahi Ibrahim. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
On Newsnight.
Thank you for
inviting me.
you
take that deep breath, definitely. That's something that the PDP needs at this time. First off, I mean, this must be quite painful for the PDP because it looks like so many forces were against your party going into that election. What do you think worked against your party?
Well, nothing worked against our party, Ngozi. Indeed, yes, I agree with you. It was traumatic, the loss of that election, because of the level of preparedness that we deployed pre the election day. Everyone who has watched event this last 5-6 months would have seen the kind of court-like followership our candidate, exercised in Edo State. And the people of Edo have themselves, like you heard the candidate of Labour confessing, been a popular candidate, accepted across the length and breadth of the state. He has traversed every nooks and cranny of the state, trying to sell the gospel, to propagate his ideals and the objectives of the PDP, what he meant or what he wanted to do for the people of Edo State, which has been brazenly stolen, yesterday. It's clear that
on Saturday.
Yes, on Saturday, but the announcement came up yesterday. So really it was yesterday that we believe that mandate was stolen. Whatever it is, the fact remains that PDP has demonstrated, it has proven, it has shown from its rallies and campaigns that it's the party to beat in not just Edo State, but the entire Nigeria.
But all the other parties, I mean, the three main parties would say the same thing. Akpata would say the same thing about the turnout at his campaigns. As a matter of fact, he even started a lot earlier. The APC too would say the same thing.
But it's on record. We have seen the campaigns. Anyone who has been watching events this last 5 months, like I stated, indeed, yes, Akpata started earlier, but you've seen how scanty his turnouts. People were putting their presence in his campaign rallies, but that's not the subject of discuss. What is most important and disturbing to us as a party is that brazen robbery that we watched yesterday, which took place on Saturday actually, but confirmed yesterday by INEC. How could you come with that kind of level of brazenness and defying the odds and the implications of doing that? One would have thought that by now we would have gone past that level of impunity. But it's sad, it's unfortunate for INEC to be itself a willing tool in the hands of this desperate APC, which has shown cluelessness and ineptitude in managing even the affair of the country. And every discerning Nigerian will tell you that there's nothing for APC to go and campaign to Nigerians and to seek their votes, which is not reconciling with what they are telling us they got. And he stated something like the turnout, the votes that they said they have generated in Oredo. Exactly. I don't know how many people would have registered in that local government to give them that kind of votes. But that
when the PDP claims that it was a stolen mandate, I mean, you have to have all your facts. I mean, apparently you're going to court.
Yes, sure.
Based on what we're hearing, you must have all your facts put together.
Yes.
This is definitely not the time for sentiments and all of that. But let me go back to the point I made about the forces that were against the PDP going into this election. PDP was a divided house, right, going into the Edo elections. Obaseki had way too many enemies, way too many forces that you can't even begin to name right now. And then again, did he provide excellent governance in a way that he wouldn't need to campaign, for this election?
That's not even an issue in contention. One of the most performing governors this last 8 years has been Godwin Obaseki. That one is not in contention. Every Nigerian believes that Edo has performed the last 8 years. So performance was not one of the criteria that anybody...
Well, it will depend on who rated his performance.
Well, Nigerians and the people of Edo in majority, they have agreed that Godwin Obaseki, and we as party, as PDP, we are proud of what he has done the last 8 years that he has overseen the affairs of Edo State. But suffice to say, this idea of enemies or whatever that he has made, it is expected in governance. I don't think anybody is also in the position to describe it the way they are describing it. It wasn't Godwin Obaseki that was in the race. It was Aswe Ighodalo, a very popular and a very great Nigerian who has demonstrated great commitment, who has shown, who has been with the people. The rallies that he has taken, the campaigns that he has overseen in the last 5 months have been quite impressive. And judging from what we have seen, and comparing him with other candidates that we have seen in other states that have even won election, they are not anywhere close to him in terms of popularity and suitability for the job.
Some would even argue that the vote was actually for Asue Ighodalo and not necessarily for the PDP or Obaseki.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. So that's, reconciles that part that you are asking earlier, whether Obaseki had made enemies or whatever. What is important is who was coming, and it was Asue Ighodalo that was the candidate. So every vote that was going was not going for Obaseki. But even if you use Obaseki as a yardstick, he was a performer. He did so very well, and we're proud of him as one person who has done very well for our party, as an ambassador for the PDP going forward. And
let's talk about the conduct of Obaseki during the election. You use the word, desperate to describe the APC, but a lot of eyebrows been raised over his visit. Some would say unwanted visit to the INEC office, and people are still asking exactly what did he go there to do?
He was making effort. He didn't go to INEC office to see anybody in the INEC. What he went there to see was the resident electoral commissioner, who he tried to call, and he said that he cleared that air severally. He went there to see if there was anything, because some of the issues that were coming, the report that he was getting, he needed to have some clearance. And he went there to get him. And when the pressure was mounting on him as somebody, he couldn't have been there to do anything untoward, because it was in the broad daylight, everybody was seeing. And then they said no, and then he stepped out as the gentleman that was. Because what we need to do, look at, is the manipulation, the violence, and the desperation that was deployed pre the election. We've seen the last 3-4 weeks, the way APC has deployed, all of its energy, security forces, compromising even INEC itself, and they have even IG himself had to fly to that state and gave assurances, and they picked some of our critical stakeholders and brought them, not to try them in Edo, where they supposedly committed whatever crime they are charged with. They brought them to Abuja, and the governor has been shouting that this is a recipe for trouble, and everybody was saying that he had no reason. He was just shouting more than the bereaved. I mean.
Okay,
and here we are.
Very quickly, yes, here we are indeed. I mean, let's, talking about enemies of Obaseki, let's listen to the former and then present deputy governor of Edo State.
He came to Edo State to say no to godfatherism, and I hate oppression. I saw Obaseki at that time being oppressed. Not that we were it's still very tight and that certain things he was doing I liked, but because I saw an altar of oppression. And that was why we supported Obaseki. But today, Obaseki that told us we should deal with him when he also wants to behave like that is the same person. So what this election have done is that we have dealt with Obaseki because he asked that he should be dealt with if he becomes a godfather.
There you go.
It is entitled opinion, and he's within the framework of democracy entitled to speak, more so because of the privileged position he once occupied as the deputy governor of Edo State. If he believes he has dealt with Obaseki, it's an opinion of his, and we are not looking at it as such. What we are looking at is that look at the closeness. Even after all of it, you can see the margin with which how would you come and interrupt?
44,000.
Yes, violent interruption of collation in most of the local governments. That was the time our chairman of the election in Edo State, the governor of Adamawa State, Dr. Ahmed Umar Fintiri, made a broadcast that media was taking against that. No, what he tried to say was to state, what the development leading to that, and why would that interruption, be experienced.
Yeah, but the question is, why couldn't the PDP wait until the results were announced by the one empowered by law to announce the results? He wasn't announcing any result. What he tried to do was to state the facts as available to him at that period. And he was the chairman of the Edo State governorship election for the PDP. And in his capacity, with other governors, 4 of them, that of Taraba, that of Delta, and of course his other colleague, were in the position for them to bring to speed what was happening for us, the family of the PDP, to know. If he doesn't give us that kind of courage, and we were expecting that by that signal, we had smelt rat, which has ended up being the case now. Something untoward was going to happen. And here we come. The PDP had 98% presence at the polling units.
Yes.
The 2% left, was that not enough to do damage?
Of course, that is what we are saying. That's what we are saying. They had to wait. 18 local governments were looking good. 90% of result had come, and PDP was leading. How could you come and do the magic and the abracadabra that we saw? This is the worst election in human history, and we're going to certainly, like you heard from our chairman, challenge it in the court of law. Even with the limited confidence that we have in the judiciary, let's put them to trial.
I was even going to ask that. Do you have confidence that you will get what you say is justice at the court?
Until we put it to trial. But between you and I, we do not have that conviction in us that they are going to do justice to us, because the brazenness and the way this government has come to, superintend in this country as the army of occupation, colonizing the judiciary, the security services, the polity generally, and making everybody suffocate, to rooftop. It's unfortunate.
But the security services have been praised for the professional handling of the process.
But for the security and their collaboration, I don't think this election would have gone the way it did. It was still very, very violent. You made a lot of places where our people were picked up, even where we made cases, their people were caught with weapons and firearms. You could see the passiveness and the reluctance on the part of security to take action. That tells you a lot that somebody is actually paying the piper, and he will dictate the tunes.
Who do you think was paying the piper? And
certainly the sitting government.
The sitting government.
APC.
Well, the issue, let's even talk about vote buying,
yes,
which has been pointed at as one dark spot in the electoral process, whether you're talking about this one or previous ones. Did the PDP take part in any vote buying?
We were not.
Or was it a case of one party out vote buying the other?
No. We were not. There was not a single case where anybody said PDP was found buying vote. But we were complaining where all of that was going. They are the ones in government. They are the ones that have the money to waste. What we're doing, we presented a material that was popular. That our candidate was outstanding. There's no basis to compare him and put him on the scale with any of them.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. Abdullahi Ibrahim, PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary. Thanks for joining us.